known about the Authentics line for a while now, seeing them about pretty frequently, and thinking, these are cheaper shit. How could someone buy these? But last year, I saw a wheeljack unveiled for Authentics, and for some reason, I took a liking to it, wanting to get it. And a year later, this January, I got him. So, how is he? This figure is in the Bravo class of Authentics, basically translating into Voyager size with the mainline figures, so he looks pretty out of place amongst the other figures I have. The first thing I do with Transformers, when I get them out of the box, is to shake them about to see if the legs and arms are loose. As demonstrated, I pick up the figure and shake it about, just to get a feel beforehand whether the figure's tolerances are going to be good or not. And every figure that I've done this to has moved in some capacity, but there's only a few that were really loose. For wheeljack here, my copy's right leg is a bit loose, but the left leg is really tight on there. Something that really surprised me though, was that he actually holds poses. The sheer amount of other toys in this line that just flop and can't hold a pose at all is a lot, whereas a wheeljack is quite articulate, surprisingly, and has a lot of posability. It's not as good as something like Studio Series or Legacy, but considering it's an Authentics figure, this is probably the most dynamic one I've had. The plastic quality for wheeljack is alright. I wouldn't say it's bad, and I wouldn't say it's good, but to get a rough idea of what it's like. My favourite part of this wheeljack would be the surprising amount of detail he has. Maybe he could have done with some more paint, maybe on the shoulders and feet, but overall, he's not lacking in the areas where the paint is needed the most. He also has quite a lot of sculpted details on him that adds to the figure. His little wing things, his hands, crotch, back, legs, everywhere really has detail on it, and it really makes the figure pop. So, the flaws. The first flaw, which is a very minor one, would be the hollowness, since it's pretty standard for Authentics figures, but it manages to hide it quite well, with the only glaring bad part to it being the legs, but apart from that, it's not that bad. And the other flaw this figure holds would be the arms. During transformation and generally messing about with the figure, they pop off way too easily. Yeah, they can be popped right back on, but this really easily could have been avoided if the arms didn't have the cut at the top of the ball joint connectors. Oh yeah, the back. This is not pretty at all. It's probably the thing that holds the figure back the most. Since this is an Authentics figure, the transformation is very easy to do, taking me about 30 seconds to fully transform it, but it's also pretty interesting, to me at least, with some transformation steps being sort of out of place for an Authentics figure. I like how the feet bend underneath the legs to make the front of the car, and how his chest folds downwards to make the main hood of the car. One thing though that slightly annoys me is how these tabs don't tab in properly because they're too small, so you have to kind of squish it to make everything come together. And in alt mode, all of the details on the robot mode fuse into one. It just looks really nice and quite sleek, and there are pretty much no issues with it at all, apart from it being a bit of a pain to tab right in. Well, if you have £10, dollars, whatever currency you have spare, and you come across one of these, I highly recommend purchasing one. It's a unique experience, and it's 100% the best Authentics figure that's been released. Forget about this thing. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, like it. If you didn't, dislike it. Do you own this wheeljack, and what are your thoughts on it? Comment down below. But this is all for now, and see ya.